Hello everyone. In previous videos, I've shared my adventures from Canada and Alaska. This one is different. Not far from my home in the San Luis Obispo area of California is a relatively unknown hike featuring numerous waterfalls and rugged mountains. The Big Falls Little Falls Trail is a 10-mile loop accessible via the East Cuesta Ridge and Lopez Canyon trails, or by high-clearance vehicles to one of its trailheads. These trails are just miles from the cities of San Luis Obispo and Arroyo Grande. Driving includes a number of creek crossings. I took my Prius out there and would not recommend. I had to turn back. Luckily though, my good friend Carson has a Tacoma that made quick work of the crossings. We had just hiked a portion of this trail a few weeks prior with friends. The falls were completely full. I felt like Batman climbing up big falls, and downstream is a deep watering hole more than deep enough to cliff jump into. Even more unique is a 35-foot slide with slick, moss-covered slopes. This is a super awesome spot, and we had a great time there. Just to mention though, be careful with cliff jumping, it can be dangerous. Dive down to see if it's deep enough, watch people do it first. Go to established spots, and don't be an idiot. If you follow common sense, you'll be safe. For this particular jump, just step off of it. Don't bound forward. And also, leaning forward on the slide makes for a more comfortable ride. Several weeks later, the day with Carson and I, it was much colder than the last. But even so, Carson and I each jumped in several times and then dried off quickly. Above Big Falls are a series of pools. These are completely full of salamanders, as is the rest of the trail. I can't even count how many we saw. It was probably 50. Before long, the trail gains elevation through beautiful meadows and soon reaches an offshoot of High Mountain Road.
Got our rain.
Oh yeah.
This is
Exactly what we wanted.
This is a very handy kiosk, by the way. It's got a map. Got everything we need.
Yep.
Carson was impressed by the variety of greens that he could see in the mountains. We continued on the road for 2.5 miles, taking in the expansive views. We didn't see a single person this entire hike, which is something unheard of for many popular spots in San Luis Obispo County. High Mountain Road soon intersected with the Little Falls Trail, and with that, we descended into another canyon. This portion of the loop is much more overgrown. Expect thorns, poison oak, and surprisingly lush vegetation resembling jungle at certain points. We even had to do a bit of route finding due to a washout. Little Falls, the trail's namesake, soon came into view. The sedimentation of the area is really fascinating to look at. The mountainside is cut into individual slivers of stone. Not long after the fall is some more beautiful oak forest. This is probably the most lush place I've seen on the Central Coast. After that, you cross onto the road that you drove on earlier, and it's another 2.5 miles back to the car, walking the various creek crossings. Surprisingly, people live all the way out here and drive this road daily. And also of note is a big white dog which almost charged Carson. Returning to the car as we found it, we drove out of the canyon and past Lopez Lake, which is currently at its fullest in over 25 years. I wasn't even born at that time. Anyway, I found this to be a great little adventure right out my front door, and I hope you enjoyed. Happy trails!